Hello. God, I forgot I put my blanket on. My love blanket. My mom gave this to me. She gave me birth and this blanket. She didn't give me anything else. That was it. And I still got the blanket. She's dead. So anyway, Sir David the Bard. I'm coming to you from a Masonic lodge down here in Australia. It's close to my house, and I wanted to get some information. Now, you know, I was a Mason for over or a Mason. God dang. Dementia. More meds. More meds. I can't even talk right. I was a Mormon for over 50 years. Now, I've heard by rumor of how much Joseph Smith was a Freemason, and he got to the highest degree of Masonry in a very short time, unheard of, in Nauvoo. Shortly after he became a Mason, a Master Mason or a Masturbator until he got Helen Mark Kimball, I don't know. He did the endowment up in the top of the mansion house. Well, I don't know much about Masonry. I do know my grandfather was a Mason, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that until he got dead, and I went to his burial, and he was wearing an LDS green apron. And in fact, it may not have been green. It might have been white, but it was an apron. And I said to my dad, Dad, why is Grandpa wearing an apron? Was he a cook? Was he a baker? And so the Mormons do have a baker's hat in the temple, but it's all a massive confusion. So anyway, that's all I knew about the Masons. And I've heard excerpts of handshakes and secret signs, tokens, and symbols. Well, I have a link down below. Now, I have to warn you, it's a long link, and if you don't want to watch it, don't. But I was curious. I watched the whole thing. I don't know if it's an hour or whatever. And I looked for similarities between the LDS endowment session, whatever the hell that is, and Masonry. I was shocked. I was shocked. I saw the beehive in the background of one of the pictures. Gee, the symbol of the state of Utah is the beehive. I saw the baptismal font. Baptism for the dead. I heard about raising the dead. Elohim. Two races of people, Cain and Abel. And Cain was the heritage of smart things, building things, having to do with mathematics and hard science. And then Abel, that's my new name in the temple, Abel. No, it's just one Abel. They were a race of people that had to do with spirituality. And the two have clashed ever since. Well, that's Masonry. The war in heaven from the LDS church, you'll hear. Now, here's what I heard and saw with my own eyes. It appears that Satan, Lucifer, was the god of this earth according to Mason rituals and Mason philosophy. A lot of Masons over the years, a lot of Solomon's Temple, a lot of, they didn't mention the handshakes, the penalties. That's another area of Masonry that they didn't mention in this particular movie. The all-seeing eye, the Capitol building. It's obvious that Joseph Smith had a hell of imagination. He took whatever, 10%, 15% masonry, and then put around it 85% just shit. Just pure illogical shit. Now, if you want to watch it, you'll learn something about the Masons. I thought it was educational. I thought it was interesting. I certainly saw at the end of the movie the Republican, conservative idea that the world is going to hell and the monetary systems are going to fall, and you know, I saw some of that political. It wasn't much. It wasn't much at the very end, and I did hear him say 1984. Now you're all too young. You're all too young. Only the old people know this shit. There was a book called 1984. And it was a book of fiction at that time. In the 60s, when I was growing up, we thought, and it was well rumored in the United States, that when we got to 1984, we would have you know, video cameras everywhere, and that we would have people spying on us from the government, and that the world was going to hell. Well, the world's been going to hell in a handbasket ever since Adam and Eve. But anyway, Eve conceived Cain. Interesting. Cain, I think, was a snake. They have a picture of him as a snake, and then as you come up his body, he turns into a man. Well, anyway, it shows the diabolical relationship between get-her-done people and religious people, and the silliness of religion, and the need for building the Tower of Babel, or Babel, was part of the story. So anyway, I'm not going to explain the whole thing to you because I didn't understand everything myself. I'd probably go through it a second time, but if you're interested in seeing what Joseph Smith robbed from the Masons, this is a good link. Also, you're getting my goat. Where did that come from? The Masons, in their ceremony, rode goats, and they joked, "You're going to get my goat," and they threw things at the guy on the goat, and he was supposed to be calm, so that he didn't get their goats, or they didn't get his goat. I don't know, goat for goat. Anyway, there's some interesting stuff in there of where some of our language came from, and what it means, and where the history of that language is. So, if you're a Mormon, you don't want to watch this, because it's similar to going to the temple. And it's true what the anti-Mormons, or the apostates, or the realistic, intelligent people have said for years and years, that Joseph Smith took pieces of the Masonic Lodge rituals and put them into the endowment session of the Mormon temple. So, anyway, if you're not a Mormon, it's interesting. It's interesting. So take a look at the link down below, and let me give you the secret second token, the name of the second token in Mormonism of the Aaronic priesthood. Health in the navel, marrow in the bones, strength in the loins, sinews, power in the priesthood be upon me and upon my posterity through all generations of time and throughout all eternity. This is the barge sign. The pay me, let's see, pay me, lay, and ail me. Oh God, hear the words of my mouth. The Mormons trace that. The 5 points of fellowship is not in this movie. There's the secret things of the Masons didn't show in this movie. But go to an LDS site and see the handshakes, and you're going to see Masonry that is supposed to be secret. It's definitely a cult. It's definitely looking to control. The Illuminati is mentioned in there, and a lot of satanic stuff that puts Satan very next to Christ. And Jehovah, Elohim, those words are all used in there. Joseph used those in the temple. So anyway, take a look. Don't slit my throat. Don't cut out my heart. Don't cut my stomach. I'm playing with my blanket. It's warm. You know, I work so damn hard my whole life. I usually work 2 jobs to support 14 kids. A lot of those jobs was miserable. I worked construction in Los Angeles, And I laid every damn day on concrete with a drill in my hand, drilling for the curtain wall going up on high-rise all day long. And I was hooked with a lanyard to the cable, so if I fell off, I'd only fall 12 feet or so, and then they'd come and get me and pick me up. Miserable job. All day long. I was a bus driver, and I had to take people. I was a charter bus driver. I would take people to a certain place, and a lot of times it was in the winter, and I couldn't leave the engine going on the bus to stay warm, and I had to sleep on the back seat of the bus waiting for my group to come out, freezing my ass off. And then the buses I drove were old buses, and they had holes in the front of the bus, and that ice air when I drove came right in on my legs and on the weenie. And that might be what's wrong with the weenie. I could go back and sue for unstable, no, I don't know what I can sue for, but I'll figure it out. Anyway, that was a miserable job. Then I was a glazer. I'm a pretty good glazer. And I've stood outside when it's been so damn cold trying to put up curtain wall or trying to put up storefronts that me and the other guys would go over to a 55-gallon barrel that had a big roaring fire in it that we threw extra shit into, and would just get our hands warm enough to run back and work for 15 minutes, then come back and try to get our hand, and the rain blowing and the snow, and oh my God, I've had some miserable jobs, and I'm not sure why I started that shit. I can't remember. It must have something to do with this video. Figure it out, because I can't remember why I started that. But anyway, take a look at the video on the Masons. I'm sure when I review the video, I'll remember it and just kick myself over and over why I got off on that sidetrack. But anyway, I appreciate you guys, and I want to learn. I try to learn, and I try to bring to you, hopefully, something interesting that's able to be learned. So take a look at the Masons. Their secret handshakes and whatever are not in there, just like I said. So anyway, this part is gone.